Hello. I know you missed me. I missed y'all too very, very much. Not kidding. I can't wait to be back to school. So, making videos, crib style. So, let's get right into it. This is Unit 3, the beginning of Unit 3 for us. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is FOIL. We talked about it a little bit over the course of the week before we went back, but we're going to get into it for sure now. Now, FOIL, if you recall, stands for first, outer, inner, and last. And it is a method for us to multiply these two nonsense pieces together. The goal is we're trying to get a quadratic function. And we're going to do a lot of this with Desmos. I can't project on here, obviously, but Desmos is going to help us understand why we have to factor these types of things. FOIL is kind of reverse factoring. It's putting two factors together. These are both factors of a quadratic function. Okay, well, not yet, but k is going to be two different terms. Remember how the quadratic, it's going to have two different x terms or x-intercepts. These are going to be two x-intercepts, but we have to FOIL them together to get the big picture. So when I do that, I'm going to take the first terms, both first terms. This is a first term, and that is also a first term. I'm going to multiply them together. This is all multiplication. 4k times k is 4k squared. Okay. Now, next is outer, or oh, that happened in the other video too. That was really weird. Junior, you probably have something to do with this. You're behind all this terror. Outer terms. This is an outer term, and that's an outer term. So I'm multiplying them together. So 4k times 1 is just simply 4k, but it's a plus, so it's plus 4k. Now, next is the inner terms, or the two inside terms of these nonsense pieces here. -3 is an inner term, and k is an inner term. So I'm going to multiply them, which gives me a -3k. And then the last thing is obviously last, or the last two terms, which is going to be, again, -3 and +1. So that's going to be a -3. Now, when I multiply these two together, I'm always going to have 4 terms here. But the two inner terms are always going to be able to simplify a little bit better. So 4k minus 3k is just 1k, or k. When I bring this down together, it's 4k squared plus k minus 3. This is my answer. Now, if you were to plug this into Desmos, it will give you a quadratic function. And it's going to look something like this. Right, something like that. Actually, it'll be a little bit lower because I'll have two x-intercepts. Okay. Now, the x-intercepts. If you want to plug this into Desmos, it's probably a good idea, so go ahead and do that for me. The x-intercepts, the way that we can figure this out are the factors of this quadratic is 4k minus 3 and k plus 1. But that's not exactly the factor yet. The factor is when each of these parentheses are set equal to 0. So for instance, 4k minus 3 equals 0, and k plus 1 equals 0. Now, I'm solving for k here. So add 3 to both sides of the first term. 4k equals 3 when I divide by 4 on both sides. K is going to equal 3/4. That's going to be my first x-intercept, where the function actually crosses the x-axis. It's going to be, one of them is going to be at 3/4, or 3/4. The other one, if I were to subtract 1 on both sides, I get k equals -1. That's going to be the other x-intercept. The goal here is, ultimately, with quadratics, ultimately with this unit, is to understand where the function crosses or touches the x-axis. Here, it touches it at 2 spots. K equals 3/4 and k equals -1. I know that's a lot for one problem, but we're going to have this in different pieces here, so it should be okay. All I'm looking for now is for you to FOIL these two terms out to get this. That's what I'm looking for just for right now. We'll get into this in another video. But let me give you another one to work out. I'm not going to give you the answers to the fee reform, but we'll talk about them in class because I don't want to make the video too long. So let's go with one more problem, and then you're going to have tons of practice because not only, and that's another thing I'm going to mention too, not only are you learning Unit 3, I'm going to try to truncate, I'm going to try to make it real small so you don't have 2 major tests at the end of the semester because there's only 3 weeks of a semester. You're going to have a mini test for Unit 3, and you're going to have the semester final, right? So that's a big piece of your final grade for the first semester. So I'm going to try to make it a little bit more manageable for you. So you're going to be learning this and reviewing at the same time. We'll get into that on Monday when we meet. Next one. 4p plus 3 times p plus 3. Okay, go ahead and pause me, FOIL that out, and see what you get. Okay, I love doing that, it's really fun. All right, first terms, 4p plus p. Hopefully you got this. 4p squared plus 15p plus 9. So let's work out how we got there. 4p times p, so the first terms together is 4p squared. Outer terms, 4p times 3 is 12p. Inner terms, 3 times p is 3p. And the outer terms, 3 times 3 is 9 plus 9. Remember, the two inner terms can get added together. They're always going to be able to get added together. So I'm left with 4p squared plus 15p, exactly what we had at the end, plus 9. Okay. If you wanted to go ahead and find the factors of this, or where the function crosses the x-axis, I know one of them has to be negative 3. So I'm going to have an x-intercept of negative 3 because p plus 3 equals 0. And the other one is going to be negative 3/4. So make sure I'm right with those. Those are my two x-intercepts. You didn't have to do that, but if you did, that's awesome. Junior, where's my cap for this blue one? Oh, jerk. Okay. Yeah, he took it. He's a little doggy. I don't know where he is, though. Okay, that's FOIL. You're going to have plenty of exercise with this. Another thing I want you to look at is, I forget what video number is. We'll talk about it on Monday. Start looking at the Unit 1 stuff. So radicals, Pythagorean theorem, things like that, because that's going to be on your final exam too. We'll talk about it a lot for sure. But make sure you're doing your due diligence and making sure you're ready for the final with things that we haven't done in a little while. Okay? So next video coming at you. Bye-bye.